Were you aware that a daily combination of two meals that you've probably consumed your entire existence could subtly repair your digestion, aids with heart health, and even hone your hello? I'm Dr. Thomas. I've been over 35 years old, years spent closely interacting with senior citizens. I've witnessed something very amazing. Healing frequently doesn't start in hospitals, but in the calm, everyday moments such as breakfast. And I'd want to show you today, among the easiest and most neglected, senior oatmeal health combinations. And before you move past, have a look at these apples. I believe I have been eating that since the 1960s. I'll tell you, you've probably never merged them in this way, and undoubtedly not because of this, since when these two are appropriately prepared, turn into what I refer to as the Senior Power Bowl, a herbal cure masquerading as a morning meal. This combination facilitates more seamless, reduced blood sugar, and more stable digestion, cholesterol, and improved mental clarity without drugs, supplements, or adverse effects, impacts, and science supports every aspect of. I'll explain in this video why this works, how to properly make it, what to adapt according to your age or prescription drugs, and the unexpected consequences it might have in only 7. Stay with me for a few days, because a single act, could transform your mood beginning tomorrow morning. Prior to our dive, if you haven't signed up yet, I advise you to press the button and click the bell to ensure that you don't miss a personalized health suggestion for you if you take pleasure in this type 1 video If not, please type 0 to inform me. How can I improve your content? 2 easy foods, 1 powerful food, 2 simple foods, collaboration. It's simple to ignore the most basic things in life until they catch you off guard. That's precisely what took place when I started suggesting a bowl of adding sliced apple and oatmeal to my many elderly patients who had developed fed up with convoluted meal plans, prescription adjustments, and costly supplements that the world was promised, but provided virtually nothing. Therefore, I requested that they try these 2 simple foods, cooperating in a manner that most people never consider. Regarding apples and oatmeal may sound commonplace, but in the ideal proportions, they develop into a silent powerhouse, particularly for elderly people wishing to boost their memory, stomach, and heart, and vitality. And these 2 are the best ingredients. Do not conflict with your body. Work with it steadily and softly. Of course, to begin with, oatmeal isn't merely comfort cuisine. It's among the most beta-glucan-rich healing grains. Oats, a soluble fiber type, aids in binding too much cholesterol in the gut. Tract and take it out of the body prior to. It can block arteries in a number of clinical research, such as that released by according to the American Heart Association, LDL, harmful cholesterol, is decreased by beta-glucan levels and facilitates more fluid blood flow in order to manage heart health in elders. It's of the most dependable and secure instruments we have in your. Put that in the pantry. And then add an apple skin. Pectin is found in fresh and crisp apples. Quercetin and another potent fiber are natural antioxidant that has been demonstrated to lower oxidative stress and inflammation. 2 main causes of heart and joint discomfort, illness, and age-related memory loss. Quercetin functions as a shield of defense, reducing the stress response in the body and encouraging proper circulation. I frequently advise my patients to eat more apples, quieter than the majority of drugs do with noise, but this is what's noteworthy. When these 2 are coupled, the results are increased. The oatmeal slows down the breakdown of the apple's organic sugars that provide you with long-lasting energy that doesn't crash or spike. In the meanwhile, the fibers and enzymes in apples facilitate the oatmeal's easy passage through, promoting regularity in the intestines and decreasing bloating and nourishing the beneficial microorganisms that boost immunity. It's not only nutrition, collaboration, and synergy, and possibly the most exquisite aspect of this, cooperation is easily replicable. No appointments, no pills every morning, just a warm bowl and some chopped apple and some peaceful moments of care. But how does this appear in actual life within actual bodies, which is where the stories start? And there are additional, more potent than any clinical research. Let me introduce you to reading in a journal, to an individual whose life was transformed by this minor daily routine. If you're still observing and discovering these revelations useful, kindly leave the first comment below to confirm that you're with me. Let's proceed to point number 2. True stories, real narratives, real outcomes. When I initially started suggesting my combination of oats and apple, using it as a mild test that I aimed to give my patients a sense of little lighter and better than what I didn't anticipate was the constant flow of mail, phone conversations, and quiet times where elderly men and women work in my office, gazed directly at me and uttered, "Dr. Thomas, it's functioning." These weren't miraculous treatments. There were noticeable improvements and minor changes that culminated in more favorable days. One of my James, a retired high school student, was the first to. 74-year-old school principal with years of his body had suffered from stress. His cholesterol was increasing and his sleep was shallow. And by the middle of the day, he felt exhausted both physically and mentally. He said, "Doc, I'm exhausted when I wake up. I eat and I still feel." I requested him to do just one thing. Because I was exhausted, change his black coffee and buttered toast for only half a dish of steel-cut oats, a pinch of cinnamon, and a chopped apple. Nothing special, just supplements. Constancy. He called 3 weeks later. "I have no idea what's in that bowl," he said, chuckled. "But I haven't fallen. All week, I slept in my recliner, and my better than they have been in terms of potty habits. Elaine, his wife, added her voice as well, had been experiencing stiff joints, particularly in her hands in the mornings. Following James's participation in this during her morning routine, she observed that her energy increased as her fingers moved more freely, remained constant till lunchtime, contains antioxidants that reduce inflammation from the slow-digesting fiber, and the apple appeared to be subtly calming from oats. Her internal system, out, followed by Ms. Evelyn 81, who had almost abandoned regular digestion. Her bowel movements were erratic, which made social gatherings awkward. Therefore, she tried prescription for prune juice, fiber tablets, anything from laxatives to anything else didn't work for lengthy. When I recommended apples and oatmeal, despite her kind grin, I could see she did not accept my story. 2 weeks later, she broke down in tears as she entered my office. Eyes, "Dr. Thomas, I have never experienced this consistently for more than a decade. I feel like gardening once more. Personally, I don't think this is magic. It's the power of genuine food taken together, used often, and with seriousness. Fiber does more than merely move objects forward. Your microbiome is fed by the trillions of microscopic organisms that aid in control everything, including mood, and immunity. Apple antioxidants lower inflammation in the body, whereas oats control blood sugar levels and provide your heartbreak. You start to recover, not due to a medication, but rather because you've provided your body with something it understands how to use, and the outcomes continue to come from sharper memory and less cravings to the simple pleasure of not having to rush to the restroom following each meal. This modest, developing a daily routine involves restoring not just comfort on a physical level, but control and respect to a lot of my elderly. But if this breakfast bowl may help patients, what happens when you do so much for the body? When we examine more closely how to make things correct so that the advantages are equal, deeper, the solution can be found in something I'll demonstrate by calling the Senior Power Bowl. You know just how to make it, how to create senior power in the next 3. The Senior Power Bowl, how to make it, basin. Over the course of my decades as a doctor, I've become convinced that the most potent, often, medication starts in the kitchen. But not just what we eat matters, but also how we prepare it, and explain our decision. Combinations, as well as the attention we provide to our brief periods of silence at the beginning of every day, that's what led to what I now refer to the Senior Power Bowl as a straightforward, warm, a healthy breakfast that does more the body of an older person than most. Understand that steel-cut oats are the first step, not the kind that spikes in an instant your blood sugar and make you feel famished and an hour later. However, the slow-cooked type that requires a bit more effort and returns a great deal more. More of the grains are retained in steel-cut oats, minerals and natural fiber in particular. Beta-glucan has been used in clinical, shown to lower harmful cholesterol, control blood sugar, and provide healthy gut germs. After that, we include half of a cut. Why the peel on the apple? Because a large portion of its quercetin resides there. An antioxidant with relaxing properties, inflammation to safeguard the heart, and even promoting mental acuity. The pectin fiber from apples acts in tandem with the oats to encourage slower digestion, consistency, and maintain a steady level of energy all through the good morning. This is where it gets. Personally, I always request that my patients decorate their bowl such that it appeals to their particular requirements for rigid joints. Contribute a dash of cinnamon, which research may lessen the incidence of arthritis-related, reduce inflammation, and enhance insulin. Toss in a memory support sensitivity, a small number of omega-3 fatty acid-rich walnuts that safeguard immunity and brain function. Regarding intestinal well-being, try a teaspoon of ground. Flaxseed is a silent warrior that is full of fibers and lignans that provide gentle support, hormones and digestion, equilibrium. And for those who require a little comfort, I occasionally suggest stirring, either in a little warm almond milk or a tunto. Raw honey drizzle. If blood sugar permits, it's not about being denied, about purpose. Transforming a simple dinner, the bowl transforms into a healing ritual, approximately 15 minutes to be ready. But what it giving back can endure steadily for a lifetime. Vitality, a calmer stomach, a more focused mind, and even a more tranquil heart. Inexpensive, flexible, and simple to make. Batches, which some of my patients make. Refrigerate it the night before and simply warm it up in a small amount of water in the morning, but possibly the most exquisite. The problem is that every spoonful is a decision toward improved health on a daily basis, dedication to respecting the body that's endured so much for you. But what? The reason this still amazes most people is works incredibly well for elders. Is age the reason for this combo that's ideal for people over 60? Body. The solution is found in how aging, bodily modifications, and the way this bowl interacts. Those modifications in their current location. Let's examine it more closely if you're still observing and discovering these revelations. Important. Kindly leave the first comment below to inform me that you have arrived. Let's continue with point number 4. The reasons this is so effective. 4. Why seniors benefit so much from this. It's among the most prevalent among seniors. Things I hear from patients in my office. Dr. Thomas, I'm over 60 and doing everything I used to do, but it's simply ineffective. No longer the same. They are correct in saying that the aging body doesn't digest food, absorb minerals, or preserve energy the way it used to. Digestion slows down and metabolism gets more sensitive and silently inflammatory. Accumulates in our vessels, joints, and even our brains may sleep more easily. Recovery takes longer and feelings more sensitive. The Senior Power Bowl isn't because of this, just nutritious food. It's a calculated, specific reaction to the biology, changes brought on by age, and that's precisely why it functions so effectively since it was created for you. Let's begin with one of the most underappreciated difficulties that older persons face beyond the age of 60. Naturally, our stomachs produce less acid, which hinders the breakdown of food and take in essential minerals such as B12, iron, magnesium, and oatmeal fiber. In particular, beta-glucan functions as a soft brush moving trash through the digestive tract more effectively and providing the good colonic bacteria that sustain everything, including mood and immunity. The pectin in apples acts as a gentle, delaying digestion. using a sponge in the intestines, controlling blood sugar levels, and reducing signs of constipation as well as diarrhea. A large number of my elderly patients report increased regularity, reduced bloating, and a sensation of lightness in just eating this bowl for weeks, routinely. But it delves further. One of the biggest risks to elderly people are something that is silent but doesn't hurt, reduces life expectancy, chronic inflammation ranging from arthritis to low-grade inflammation associated with Alzheimer's is at the cause of almost all age-related. Apples and oatmeal are both high in antioxidants to fight this unconscious fire like oat anthamides and apple quercetin. These substances reduce the inflammatory reaction in the body, safeguarding your arteries, joints, and even the sensitive neurons in your cardiovascular health comes next, which is increasingly susceptible with age. Seniors are more vulnerable every year for elevated blood pressure, stroke, and atherosclerosis. Not because of bad decisions, but due to time, and oats start to harden the arteries, naturally reduce LDL cholesterol levels, while apple fiber promotes good cholesterol levels, metabolism together. They aid in lowering the pressure on your heart, which frequently results in reduced blood pressure and a more stable. Several of my patients have pulses seen without having to modify their drugs. Now, let's discuss energy and mental acuity. Two of the biggest. Seniors hope they could return sugary, processed white bread for breakfast. Blood sugar surges are caused by cereal donuts and crashes that leave you feeling hazy and exhausted by the middle of the morning. But the sluggish breaking down complex carbohydrates in the power dish that supplies the brain with consistent glucose. The muscles that provide you with even useful, some elders' vitality without the crash. Inform me that this is the first time in years they arrived at lunch without having to. I've observed widows regaining their men in their 70s, return to their social lives, to women in their 80s and morning strolls. Garden once more, not as a result of taking a supplement, but since they provided nourishment, their bodies in a manner that at last acknowledged that this cuisine complements the aging process rather than working against it, respects the changes in your body rather than disregarding them. It makes you feel capable rather than reliant, which is why I eat it and why I suggest it so frequently. Personally, but like any natural cure, even something as pure and delicate as isn't universally applicable. So how do you understand when to make adjustments or when to be at? Let me walk you a little more carefully through the specific things to look out for in Part 5, when to make adjustments or be, when to modify or exercise. Caution, careful. As a medical professional who has invested after 40 years of collaboration with, I can tell you this about older individuals there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Health remedy. Know of how natural. It may appear to be wholesome or benign. Something as widely commended as oats and apples need to be handled carefully, particularly when the body is more sensitive with age. But there's good news. Caution does not imply being. Fear is a sign of wise listening. Closely and with regard, modifications when required. Let's start with a shared worry. Blood sugar. But fruits and oats are far superior options to sugary cereals or white bread. They continue to carbohydrates for elderly people with type 2 insulin resistance or diabetes is vital to monitor serving sizes and track the body's reaction to some of my, according to patients, half a cup of cooked oats combined with a small amount of apple along with some healthy fat or protein, such as plain Greek yogurt or walnuts, keeps their blood sugar levels steadily without any peaks. Avoiding the bowl isn't the goal. It's about making it more intelligent in another area. Gastrointestinal is a matter of care. Sensitivity to those who have IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. The large amount of fiber in diverticulosis, apple peel, and steel-cut oats can occasionally result in cramps or bloating, particularly if they're not accustomed to it. Frequently advise easing into it. Try a smaller amount, if necessary. Peel the apple and sip on lots of water during the day to facilitate the fiber's smooth operation. the system. In rare instances, there are also food, seniors' age-related intolerances. For example, gallbladder problems must use caution while consuming additional fats, such as nuts or flaxseed. And for those who are taking some drugs, such as blood thinners, for instance, even natural foods like flaxseed and cinnamon may interact. Subtle differences in the body's metabolism, drugs. These aren't excuses to stay away from the senior power bowl. However, they are reasons to consult your physician or pharmacist prior to establishing it as a daily ceremony, followed by vigor and hunger, level 2 items that many senior citizens silently battle. If you're someone who has little appetite when they get up, or who takes drugs that influence hunger, forcing down a large bowl filled with whatever that feels overwhelming, which is why I constantly stress that even a small amount of start counting in this bowl where your body is a mild remedy rather than a prescription, providing you can gradually increase it as your appetite and digestion change. Lastly, there is the emotional component. Elderly people who live alone or are coping with loss via preparation. Regardless of how healthful a large dinner can feel lonely or onerous in certain situations, I urge patients to take charge of their own destiny. A call with a bowl as part of a ritual. Buddy as it prepares a prayer. A beloved record is playing in the background. Healing is more than just nutrients. It's about being connected. Being careful is not a drawback. Rather, it's an request to become more aware of your body with greater self-compassion and more open to changing as necessary. Things are not flawless, but observing the signals and being consistent, your body transmits the manner. Since when anything as modest as this is how oatmeal and apples are treated, so much attention that it transcends mourning. It turns into a personalized medication, sensitive and profoundly providing nourishment. So what occurs when you take this discernment, this modest everyday decision, and genuinely dedicate yourself to it? The solution is in the subtle change it can bring about. We'll also investigate that lovely shift as we close. Little bowl, huge impact. Every day, little bowl, huge effect. Decision that respects your well-being and your years as a medical professional with decades of walking with senior citizens on their health trips, that I now think this basic reality, what you do on a daily basis, does not. Sometimes it's what determines your health. And the most significant, and often it's not the pricey therapies or medicines, is the most recent online fad that transforms lives. It's something far more subdued. A routine, a decision, a bowl of food, shared with purpose. Senior Power Bowl is more than just a recipe. It reflects a way of thinking, one that asserts your continued dominance, to take good care of oneself with discernment and intent. Each teaspoon, the oats and apple mixture, is a tiny act of defiance against the notion that aging must inevitably lead to decline. Reminder that medicine can still be found in food, and that health doesn't necessarily have to be difficult to be significant. Your necessities throughout this stage of life are difference in your joints and digestion, your energies, your emotions, everything. Request a more considerate form of assistance. In a manner, breakfast responds to those demands that respects the way your body functions right now, not as it did in previous decades. It provides circulation that is strain-free and balances blood sugar without the use of drugs, helps digestion painlessly. Additionally, it strengthens your sense of mastery. Anything that seems like it far too frequently disappears as we age, but probably most significantly. Try beginning your day with something basic. A cozy and filling is a self-respect ritual. It states, still important. My health is still important. Additionally, in a world that frequently speeds by, that message is startling for older folks and essential. One of my 77-year-old patients is retired. Harold, my teacher, informed me after 3 weeks of relishing each Power Bowl morning, I feel more than simply that. Better yet, I feel taken care of, if only by myself. In my opinion, that is what's healthy. Aging is really about. Therefore, whether you're in charge of blood, strain managing digestion while attempting to better sleep, or just wanting to feeling good about your physique again, start here. Tiny. Begin with this bowl and let it alone. Your daily first act of well-being. Leo. It serves as a reminder that you are not too old to prosper, and keep in mind that wellness isn't about. Consistency is key to perfection, goodwill, and the silent force of demonstrating. Make your own decisions, one at a time. Time is not the end of your trip in many ways. It's only getting started, and it starts with a basic item like oats and apple. Accept this invitation. Make that bowl tomorrow morning. Take a moment. Take a moment to pause, take a breath, and remind you are still healing yourself, expanding, while continuing to live a purposeful life that is the most potent force of us all. All of these lectures are intended to motivate. You must now live completely and truly. Please take a moment to speak with me, to think back on, and share one thing that you have discovered and intend to use in your own life. Let's help one another with this path to accepting these truths. Please let us know if you like this video. If not, feel free to post a remark with one. Feel free to leave a comment with no criticism. It's very important to us. Please remember to like. Please subscribe to and share our YouTube channel for more such material. Thank you. Thank you for viewing, and happy living. Living according to your own term.